So take it away, Andrea.
Right. So I thought of what I really like as a good recipe to barbecue, and I think when you think of summer outdoor barbecuing, you think of hamburgers. So we have a little twist on a hamburger, and we're making a veggie burger. Actually, the recipe.
It's a big twist.
Yeah, it's a big twist. So it's called a jerk sweet potato and black bean veggie sliders. So it's quite a mouthful, but no pun intended. So it's great because you got the protein like you would normally get in a meat, but you're also getting a lot of the fiber from the vegetables. So it's really great. And you can make it for anybody, really, even those meat eaters. I've made it before for my family. Like my dad, he would much rather have a meat hamburger or steak, but he actually loved these veggie burgers, and he requested for me to make them again. So I thought it'd be a great recipe to share with you. Jeremy's made a little bit of changes to it, just kind of switching up the flavors. We got some great jerk flavors. It's really refreshing, and a lot of good textures from the different vegetables and protein sources. So it takes a little bit of extra time and a little bit of extra steps to make veggie burgers, but I guarantee that when you try it, it's really worth it. So you're going to need a food processor, and we'll start with the first ingredient, almonds. So after we add in the almonds, you can add in the other ingredients at any order that you want, but you want to make sure that you add the almonds first to grind them up nice and well, because when you add them with all the other ingredients, they kind of get lost in there and you end up with really big chunks of the almonds. So it's kind of a big surprise you don't really want there. So we'll go ahead and pulse the almonds. You want it to be a pretty good, like a nice flour, like a very small consistency. That's going to help with the binding of the burger as well. A lot of these ingredients have a lot of moisture in them, so one of the keys to making a good veggie burger is making sure that you're going to absorb a lot of that moisture. So we'll just go ahead and start this.
We're going to wake everybody up today.
Yeah, so you don't want to grind it enough to get that almond butter, but...
And you can use cashews or some other...
Yeah, the great thing about this recipe is it's really customizable. You can use different types of beans and flavors. So just give it a little bit more of a would you say that looks
Yeah,
good,
I'd go maybe a little bit more. So you want it almost the texture, almost like a flour.
Yeah.
The reason, again, I mean, you can use just regular flour, but it does get a little starchy when you taste it. I find in veggie burgers, unless you really cook them through.
That's true. Then a lot of them are breadcrumbs or rice and very little protein, and then you put it on a bun, and it's not very satisfying compared
it's like eating a bun on a bun. So.
That looks good.
That looks good, yeah.
Perfect.
You still get a little bit of crunch from the almonds. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and add the rest of the ingredients. So we have a cup of beans. So we use canned beans, so you can look for one that has a low sodium option. You could also use dried beans if you want, and there's actually a video on the YouTube channel of how to make dried beans. So you can check that out. We're adding some fresh ginger, about a tablespoon of that.
And this is going to add, I mean, a lot of these ingredients are really going to punch that flavor out. So jerk, for example, we have a recipe on our website for a jerk chicken. It's a regular jerk chicken, big flavor. And when you're using ingredients such as this, beans, black beans, they might not have the best flavor. They're not screaming at you. So these are some great ways to kind of kick that up a little bit.
We're trying to win over the meat eaters with this recipe.
There's 2 bowls there, so be careful.
So we have green onions. So this is allspice and nutmeg. So these are some spices that are always used in some of that jerk seasoning. It's going to add a lot of flavor as well.
And you can use it ground.
You're just putting in the whole here?
Yeah, so I put in the whole allspice. You can use ground as well, but you use a little bit less. I think, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, use a little bit less. We have, I think on the recipe, we put about half a teaspoon of ground, which is perfect. For the whole, you can use about a tablespoon. You can just use a little bit more. It works out to pretty similar. So, and if you like more, you can add more. Allspice has a pretty distinct flavor. It's really nice, and refreshing. So that again is up to you. If you don't like it at all, add something else if you want. You can add ground star anise or cumin, or I mean, it's really, really open to you.
Yeah. And next we have some fresh thyme. Okay. So then we have another ingredient that's optional. It's called a habanero or a Scotch bonnet. And you want to, it's going to add a little bit of heat. So if you want that extra heat, then go ahead and add that. The seeds are where a lot of the heat is found. So you want to remove the seeds or else it's going to be too hot. But
wear your gloves too if you're doing this. I just realized now I got to remember not to touch my eyes.
I was making nachos for friends one time and chopping up the jalapenos, and I didn't wear gloves and my hands were burning for the rest of the night. So it's a good idea if you feel you might be a little sensitive.
Now Scotch bonnets, you can find them in different colors: red, orange, yellow, green. I find that it's kind of a guessing game with them. They're not all the same heat. Some you find you can throw a whole Scotch bonnet in and you'll get a really nice fruitiness from it. It has a beautiful flavor. And so you can take the seeds out, and I would add, you can add half or whole, and you might not even detect the heat. It'll be very, very mild. Some Scotch bonnets, they'll knock you on your seat. So add a little bit at a time, and then if you want to add a little bit after, you can always chop it up and mix it in after.
And if you have any mouth sores or any sensitivity inside your mouth, leave out the Scotch bonnet, because like Jeremy said, you might get a really powerful one, and it's best to avoid the spices during that time.
Okay, so we're going to add our egg, which is going to act as a binder. Another thing that you can do, if you wanted to make this recipe vegan, you could use what's known as a flax egg. So you actually just get ground flax and use a ratio of 1 to 3. So you would do 1 tablespoon of the flax and then 3 tablespoons of water. Just let it sit, keep stirring it. It gets kind of gelatinous, and you can add that in and it'll help bind the ingredients together.
All right, take that from you.
And last we have some lime. Yeah, so we're going to use this rasp here to zest the lime.
This is one of our favorite ingredients at the ELLICSR kitchen. We love to use our zest to really punch up the flavor without acidity. So again, if you have a sore mouth due to cancer treatment or otherwise, then you can use the zest instead of going for the citrus juice to get that same beautiful flavor without the acidity.
That's good. Perfect.
Okay, and then we use some fresh lime.
So I think I put on there about 2 tablespoons of lime juice. This looks like a pretty good lime. Some of the ones I open are really, really dry. So 1 lime might not be the same for everyone. So about 2 tablespoons of lime juice is good. You want to make sure that this is not too liquidy. The problem with a lot of veggie burgers is that they're too moist and they tend to fall apart a little bit. So half looks pretty good there.
So we have 2 more ingredients you might have seen on the list, the sweet potato and the millet, but we're actually going to go ahead and add that after, and we'll talk about why. So blend these up. So you want to blend it to a pretty smooth consistency. Make sure everything incorporates nicely together.
Make sure there's not a big Scotch bonnet pepper sitting in there somewhere.
Sure. Yeah, so I'll do a little bit more.
You want to make sure it's not like a paste. You still want some of that texture, especially with the black beans in there. So a little bit more, I think it should be good. Beautiful.
That's probably good.
Excellent. So, not so colorful right now, but
Yes.
It will be.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why we are going to add in the sweet potato afterwards is because, should I smash that up first?
yeah, we'll smash it. And we roasted the whole sweet potato. It's very easy. Whole sweet potato, put it on a baking sheet in the oven, 400 degrees for about 30 minutes, 25 minutes, just until it's soft. Doesn't take any time at all. See, Andrew just gets right in there.
So don't be afraid to just use your hands. I think that's...
Christy was searching for a spoon. And
well,
get rid of
it.
I would have done that.
Yeah.
I would have done that too.
The reason we added it afterwards is going to not only keep the color of the sweet potato, you're going to see it. To just wipe my hands.
It's okay to get messy.
You're going to keep the color by mixing it afterwards, but also the sweet potato is about 70% water. So if you mix it with that, it's going to add a lot of moisture.
So if you blended it all up with everything,
if you
then
blend
you
it
get
up,
a really
liquidy
paste. it's not going to hold together so well on your grill.
All right.
All right, and then we also pre-cooked the millet. So a millet is a grain. It kind of has a nutty flavor, and it's gluten-free. So if you have a gluten sensitivity or celiac, it's a good option to choose.
It's a nice neutral flavor as well. It's pretty mild. I know not everyone's a big fan of quinoa, and you can use quinoa instead of the millet. You can use barley instead of the millet, but millet's got a nice neutral flavor, so it acts as a really nice binder. You have some of that whole grain in there as well. But it's not overbearing in any way.
Yeah, it's an excellent source of fiber. So if you didn't want that fiber, you could use like a regular couscous in this recipe as well.
I'm gonna go ahead and mix it all up.
So
then what we also did is after you mix it up, you put some saran wrap on it and just let it chill in the fridge for about 30 minutes, and that's gonna help the millet absorb that moisture, kind of thicken up.
it'll firm up on you quite a bit, which is good because you don't want it to fall apart. And you can form this, by hand, make big patties. We're doing little sliders. So we love the ice cream scoop. The small ice cream scoop is perfect for this kind of thing. I've done it a couple times on the grill. Sometimes it sticks. It's hard to with so much moisture to get rid of that without adding too much flour. Another really cool technique is if you just put some foil onto your grill, you can throw them right onto there, and that'll work just as fine, and it won't fall apart and won't fall through on you. So we're doing it in a pan here, medium heat, a little bit of oil.
Yeah. So when you're grilling meat at high temperatures, whether it's frying or barbecuing outside, you need to be careful because grilling meats, poultry, fish at really high temperatures can cause some cancer-causing chemicals known as heterocyclic amines. So, but the great thing about these veggie burgers or grilling any type of vegetables or fruit is that you're running no risk of forming those chemicals. So that's why some of the veggie burgers is a really good alternative. And like I said, you're getting that protein, you're getting the fiber, and a lot of antioxidants from those ingredients.
So what would happen if you wanted to make these veggie burgers, but you also had some regular burgers on the grill?
So you really want to be careful about food safety. So when you're cooking these, if you just have them on the grill, you wouldn't really need to worry about having using one flipper or one tong for the raw and one for the cooked. But if you're cooking meat, you really need to be careful about separating cooked foods from the raw food. So I think if you're cooking both, you want to cook maybe the veggie burgers on one side and then the meat on the other side, and make sure you're using 2 different tongs.
That's a great point. Yeah. So food safety, absolutely. You want to make sure when you're cooking your meat and poultry that the food reaches a safe internal temperature. You can use a meat thermometer so that you know when it's cooked through. And if you're doing, a piece that has a bone in it, make sure that you're not touching the bone with the thermometer because that'll be hotter than the rest of the meat and give you a false reading. And you want to go through the thickest part. The other great tip from separating, the vegetarian stuff on one side and your meat, poultry, fish on the other side is like those compounds that Andrea was talking about. Basically, your meat, any kind of dripping of fat or juices off of your animal products that go onto the coals or, to the bottom of the barbecue, if you're cooking at a high heat, which you are with grilling, there's going to be some flare-ups of flames, there might be smoke. So as soon as that happens, it's actually depositing another type of chemicals that may cause cancer onto the vegetarian foods. So you may think, I'm doing the healthy thing and going for these plant-based options, but if they're kind of on the same grill or in the same area as the animal-based foods, you can still get that transfer happening. So using the foil is a really nice way to protect, your vegetables and your other things from having those flare-ups occur.
So we have, top it, mustard, ketchup. I like a hot, spicy mustard is kind of my favorite. Of course, we're gonna do something a little different here. So we did just a pineapple salsa because it goes well with the jerk seasoning. And this is also available on our webpage. And it's simple, it's just pineapple, some tomatillo, and cilantro. Very simple, very easy, and it's nice and refreshing.